I chose Jezebel for our source.
Perfect.
On purpose. Jezebel reports, Nicki Minaj just tried to dox 2 reporters. It seems like she isn't very happy about what's going on. There's a question mark there. I don't know. I had to read it with the upward inflection. Jezebel is a bad website. They're not a good website, but I thought it would be interesting to pull up Jezebel because here's what I find fascinating. Jezebel's supposed to be like feminists, right?
So a supposedly feminist website says so right there.
Why are they defending the Daily Mail? Isn't that weird? So anyway, they prattle on for quite a bit, and then somewhere near the bottom, they go on to mention she hopped on Instagram and posted screenshots to her story that allegedly show a conversation between a reporter in Trinidad attempting to contact some of her family members. One assumes that this reporter must be doing so in order to verify the claims of swollen balls. But we will likely never know the truth because Minaj also used her story to attempt to dox the reporters by posting a picture of a business card, a name, and a phone number. And that it was a mail online business card. Like, it's a Murdoch company. I'm Jezebel's feminist, and they're all of a sudden... These people have... They claim like these are bad outlets, and now all of a sudden they're journalists? Okay, sure, whatever. But anyway, for those that aren't familiar with the story, I'll give you the quick version. Nicki Minaj tweeted that her cousin's friend got the vaccine, became impotent, his balls swole up, and then his fiance left him, which is like an absolutely insane and ridiculous story. I personally, like based on everything I read, I don't think that had anything to do with the vaccine, but Nicki Minaj was just telling a story she heard. So, okay. Journalists got all angry and they started making fun of her. She then said 2 things. She didn't want to travel because of her baby. She then said the Met Gala wanted people to get vaccinated, and if she was going to get vaccinated, it wouldn't be for the Met Gala. Then the narrative became Nicki Minaj refuses to attend Met Gala due to vaccine mandates and a fear of swollen balls.
Which she wouldn't really have, but...
Right. Yeah. But it's just like, it's over the top. And then she's like, yo, you're lying. I didn't say that. Mm-hmm. And the media, what they do is they take what she said and twist it to the legal extent they can without getting sued. But Nicki Minaj has got 180 million followers, so she's going nuclear on these. Let me show you what she posted. And let's get rid of that. She says she posts one thread. I'm not gonna read necessarily the conversation. It's just like a journalist, like their names and stuff. She says, threatening my family in Trinidad won't bode well for you. In Trinidad, harassing my family. I didn't want to give details, but now I will. And this is a guy named James Fielding. We blocked out his information. They're forcing my family to have to hide out. This is what speaking up looks like. Millions of poor people are treated this way by people you think are the good guys. Ooh. This is unconscionable. That one, well, that was surprising to me because she's now pointing out like these people are bad guys. They're claiming to be the good guys. They're the bad guys. She said, Charlene Ramper said, bitch, your days are effing numbered, you dirty hoe.
Spicy.
Nikki. You know what? I'm not gonna cheer for like that level of
vehemence.
Yeah, but I will say fighting back. That I respect.
Like I was gonna say, like I'm against doxing people, but the key word there is people. Not internet hole monitors. That's jobs to do what these people are doing. And I don't know. It's these people all see themselves as gods to some extent. And I do think it's time they sort of get some pushback. And who better than someone with 100 million rabid followers to join in? That's
exactly it. It's like there's a bunch of little guys out there who get pushed around and lied about. There was that CNN story we were actually talking about before the show. CNN's like, we're going to dox this guy if he posts a meme one more time. And it's like, these people are insane. They target the little guy. Yeah. And now they've gone after Nicki Minaj, who is the opposite of the little guy. She's a juggernaut. Yeah.
Maybe like celebrities we all don't really like are kind of are way forward. It's like the secret to defeat these people. I don't know. Well, you see all these conservatives that are like cheering her on, like, yeah, she's one of us now, and it's like, no, she agrees on one issue. Like, we don't have to accept them fully, but it is nice when we can align here and there.
She is one of us because whatever this side is, we were talking about the other day, the cult and the not cult.
That is true.
I don't agree with conservatives on a lot of things. And like I always like to mention that I went on Glenn Beck's show. We're sitting in this big movie studio basically because Glenn Beck's The Blaze offices are ridiculously massive. And we have like this microphone hanging down or whatever, and we're arguing pro-choice versus pro-life with smiles on our faces and a handshake and like, wow, that was a really great conversation. And we're like, yeah.
I remember I had that thought the other day too, where I'm like, I think with me, like if I had to start a new country, it's more the people than the policies. Like I would rather have our legislature, but where we can actually talk to each other and actually converse, and instead of just defaming each other and do what the left does, where they reinvent the meaning of words. Like, I would rather have a more sane populace with a diversity of opinion than an only right wing country, because I mean, I don't know what kind of right wing would be even, and what if there are people I don't like. So that too, I think, is important. I would say that's never going to happen.
There are some instances where I'll see the right do something that I consider to be disingenuous or just like exaggerated or hyperbolic. There was one where recently happened. Joe Biden was like wearing sunglasses and eating ice cream or whatever. I don't know what he was doing. And he said something like, he was asking about Trump, and he goes, Trump, said Robert E. Lee would in Afghanistan. I don't want to talk about it or whatever. And they were like, look, he's stuttering and mumbling and he can't speak. And I'm like, no, that time it just sounded like he was uninterested.
Yeah, being dismissive.
And was being dismissive.
Yeah.
You don't need to pretend that Joe Biden can't speak. We can all hear him say, "Tuna on a shop at a pressure."
That's what it was.
But it's with the quote unquote right or the not cult. It's a mix. It's independent voters. You've got you've got people like Jimmy Dore. Right. Jimmy Dore's a socialist, as far as I know. I'm not saying it to be derogatory. Like, I think he actually identifies as a socialist, and I think Jimmy's fantastic. And he points out a lot of the same manipulations and lies in the media. Yeah. So Jimmy Dore sitting down with a conservative, they're probably going to be arguing like crazy, but then they're going to completely agree on the establishment, the feds, the war, the manipulation. So when Nicki Minaj comes out and she's like, the media lies, and I'm not going to stand for it, it's like, yes. True. This is basically what we're talking about. The people who are discerning, they look at the media and they question the narratives, and the people who aren't, who believe whatever they're told. Yeah. So Nicki Minaj tweets this thing like they're lying about me. Michael Malice tweeted at her, the corporate press is the enemy of the people, and then someone responded, Nicki Minaj is on the side of the far right.
Here we go.
But that's the cult.
I mean, that's the weird thing about the left, too, and making every common sense position far right is like you're going to actually normalize the far right, which is not necessarily something you want to do either.
Right. But it's not even far right. I mean, Michael.
Well, it's not at all far right.
I was thinking about how it's not a volleyball game where it's like half of us and half of us. It's more like mold toxicity has entered the system. So it's not like an aberration, like it's there and we can locate it. It hits the system and then it disperses throughout. So we've got this bits of like toxicity in the system, but it's a small percentage of the system, although it's affecting it. Yeah. And then the rest of the system is just functioning, and now we're all kind of trying to work together.
I got a crazy idea. Get the right to get on board with universal health care. And actually, it's not even my joke. It's the Babylon Bee. Trump comes out in support of impeachment, forcing Democrats to oppose. You remember that one? Yes. So I'm not even going to claim the joke. It's a recycled joke. But yeah, if the right came out and they were like, we support the Green New Deal and AOC, they'd be like, AOC is far right. Because you can't convert people on the right. Yeah. Politics only flows one way.
Someone did that with CNN where I think they were arguing for like paid maternity leave, and then Ivanka Trump proposed not that policy but a tax credit for mothers, and then CNN wrote an article about why that was such a horrible policy.
Well, this is the world we live in. Yeah. The cult. That's why I call it the cult, because like I can sit down and have a conversation about border policy with libertarians, and you have libertarians who are for and against borders, and the libertarians who are like, open borders is the only true libertarian position, and the other person is like, no, there should be borders, otherwise you don't have a country. And it's like, those conversations can happen. Yeah. We've been trying to get people to come on with Alex Jones. We want a leftist to come on. They won't do it. Weird. Because they're scared of him. Not because, you know what the funny thing is? They're scared because he's going to be right. Because when Joe Rogan had him on, and Joe Rogan kept fact-checking him, and then Joe would be like, Alex, that's not true. And Alex would be like, look it up, I'm telling you. And then Jamie pulled it up, and then, oh, yeah, I found it. It's true. It's CNN reporting 2016, some weird thing. Yeah. When he was here, Alex told me that we eat cloned beef. He's like, all the beef you're eating is all clones. And I'm like, no, it isn't. That's ridiculous. And he's like, look, Google it. And I typed it in, and dozens of articles. All of the meat you get is from cloned cows. And I was like, oh. So what happens is we have these leftists. Some of them are like, yeah, I'll do the show. And then later go, no, I'm not going to do it. Because what are they going to do when they sit down across from Alex Jones and he says something populist? Like, we can't have these elites stealing money from the working class. And they're going to be like, I agree with you, Alex Jones. And then that's going to get clipped and put everywhere. They're scared. They're scared because... Now, I certainly think Alex has been crazy and wrong about a lot of things.
Well, he's a nut, but I like the guy.
But when he talks about... Nobody wants to be in the room with the guy, these leftists don't, where they get a sound bite where they're in agreement with him over basic issues. Yeah. When he's talking about 5G cell towers and mutant animal hybrids and weird stuff.
It's weird because the left can't agree with the right on a single issue. we can agree with a single issue with Nicki Minaj and go, yeah, we'll align with you there. But like, they'll find someone they agree with on everything, or even like they're canceling within their own. Like they'll find someone they agree with on everything and be like, oh, he said a homophobic term in Xbox Live in 2003, and we gotta,
what was that? The Jeopardy guy?
Yeah,
he posted
I
boobs?
think it was 9 years ago.
What did he post boobs?
And then it's so weird too, because you can see it play out on Twitter, the whole process, and all the other journalists like, wow, great job transcribing this 9-year-old podcast no one knew about. Like, great work, guys.
Yeah, what did he say? He said boobs or something.
It was something so. I mean, I already forgot what it was, which should give you,
Dude, I say it all the time, but like, I don't understand how people would choose to live that way. Like, Nicki Minaj is willing to put her career on the line because she's like, screw you, I'm not going to do what you say. How is it Nicki Minaj is more punk rock than Rage Against the Machine?
Yeah. That's the thing with the left.
Weirdest thing.
They always have an issue, no matter how obscure. Like, I'll be friends with someone on Facebook from college, and they're like, oh, this native tribe in the middle of this place you've never heard of needs our help. And I'm like, how do you guys keep track of all this shit? I'm not saying it's bad to care. I'm just saying I don't get how you guys it must be exhausting.
I'm looking forward to like Nicki doing new songs.
Yeah,
because
she might incorporate.
It's all going to be in it.
Red pills, baby.
Yeah, and she's it's like you think back to that line from Rage Against the Machine. I'm sorry, Rage on Behalf of the Machine, where they said "F you, I won't do what you tell me," and now their line. We should rewrite that song. "F you, you better do what they tell you."
And they were never really anti-establishment. Like if you they actually did a tour. I think it was sponsored by Pepsi once, but you might want to check that. But on Tamaro's guitar, the black one, I don't know what it's called. I'm not into music, but it references the Shining Path, which is a Peruvian communist group that killed 60,000 people. In the 80s. So that's like kind of people he's publicly supporting. I mean, it doesn't really seem all that anti-establishment or you're rebelling against anything.
But when the establishment in the U.S. opposes communism, they're anti-establishment.
Yes.
So that's the funny thing, right? You've got some people who are this is what I found. I was having a conversation with this hacker guy, relatively prominent during the anonymous era, Occupy Wall Street, and I was like, we were arguing. And I was like, dude, you guys changed. Like, we didn't change. We still believe in free speech. We still believe in all these things. And then he just was like, yeah, I know. We used you. Yeah. Like, we were anti-establishment because we wanted to subvert, the authority and take over and install our communist, utopia. And you were willing to help us do it, so we tolerated it. Yeah. Now that we have institutional authority, we don't believe in freedom, and we never did. Yep. It was just a means to an end.
Yeah. That's the thing in politics in general. Like, people are only really principled so long as it gets them into power. I think only the right really stays principled, but it's almost to their detriment at certain times. Yep. Like, you'll see them be weak on vaccine mandates, for instance, and say, well, we can't really tell businesses what to do, or go ahead.
No. I don't want to interrupt. I didn't want to interrupt.
Go ahead. No, it's fine.
I wanted to ask though, because you might know this. Has Lauren Boebert proposed repealing the NFA?
I mean, I assume not, but I don't know I actually don't really follow her that much.
So, someone may have.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but that's a National Firearms Act. It bans tons of weapons. It makes it nearly impossible to get specific guns that I think don't even make sense to be banned. But there's a ridiculous amount of guns that are banned. People don't understand that not only is there a ridiculous amount of guns that are banned, but there's also a ridiculous amount of guns that can't even be made because of the NFA and other ATF regulations and rules. So
it looks like Senator Kramer, the U.S. Senator from North Dakota, introduced a bill to abolish the NFA. Senator Kramer and colleagues introduced a bill to improve firearm owners' access. Oh, when was this? This is from June 2021. But this is
hey, that's great.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Is that guy he's in right now and he's doing that?
Yeah, North Dakota.
I wasn't doing that to drag Lauren Boebert by anyway. It's just because she is very, very much a 2A candidate, and I'm wondering, like, are the Republicans coming out and being like, we demand?
Right. Seemingly not. No.
Yeah.
It's the thing. The Republicans will get power, and then they'll go, well, if we use the government to enforce our principles, the left will do it when they take power. And it's like, well, they already are. I mean, it's almost like a meme that schools are left wing. It's like, you guys let them get that way.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of these Rand Paul to demand the government give us stuff.
Correct.
I'm saying repeal the law and let people decide on their own. But the issue is, you got a game of tug of war with the left pulling with all their might and the right's just standing still.
Yeah.
And
they do tweet a lot, though. So
you've got the fear of not getting voted back in. If they anger too many people, if they get too loud. So they're kind of like, don't want to make a noise. Like, I didn't even know who that guy was who you just mentioned.
Kevin Kramer.
Yeah, but there's a lot of members of Congress you don't know. But come on, look at AOC. She stomps around.
Yeah, I think her district is like,
she's not one of those.
I think it's like D plus 25 though. Like basically, you could run a dead Democrat against a Republican in her district, and the dead person would win. Unfortunately,
you could run a sawhorse.
Yeah, I mean it's literally impossible. It's a Kim Klacik level district, so it's not.
I mean, no, that's the crazy thing too, and this is not an exaggeration or a joke. If you put sawhorse. Saw space horse D and John Smith R, the sawhorse would win.
There's
because people will just see the D and then check it off regardless.
There's some town, I don't know if I only saw the headline, but where I think a cat won the mayoral election. Which maybe that was just a joke on the people's part.
There's a lot of small towns with only a couple hundred people that vote for the dog. Yeah, because they're like, we don't need a mayor. What's the point?
Yeah.
But I actually think I wonder if this can be pulled off. If you can, I wonder what would happen if you just went to a district, got someone who's a Republican on the ballot as a Democrat.
I've had that thought. Like you run and you lead with your issues that are left leaning and just kind of stay quiet on the other ones.
But it doesn't even matter if you can get if there's like some obscure district and you run and it's D plus 28 and you run as a Democrat and you win the primary. See, the issue, I suppose, is running the primary is very activist-y because that's where all the hardcore activists are. But what's to stop a Republican from doing, polling an AOC and being like, I'm far left, and then getting in and then go woof right to the establishment.
This is just a sheriff election, but I think that's what was David Clark, the black sheriff. He used to be on Fox News a lot. Very conservative, but he is a registered Democrat, and I think it's sort of the same thing. He's in an area where you kind of have to be, even though what he's saying is not that way.
I think that's the answer to the problem.
Yeah,
and so a Republican runs as a Democrat in a Democrat district and then votes Republican.
Yeah, I think no one pays attention to those local politics.
Right.
Like I mean, I know who my representative is. I don't know who any of the other ones are, and I don't think I doubt half the people in my town even know who theirs is. So yeah, I think it would be possible. As sad as that.
Well, that's the thing about AOC's district. She won the primary with what was it like 11,000 votes? Wow. So imagine if a Republican ran as a Democrat and told all of the Republicans, because there's, I think, how many are there? 200,000? Or it's like 120,000 Republicans in AOC's district, I think.
Is there?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like 20%. So it's actually a little bit more. It's like 150. Imagine if you got 20,000 activist Republicans to vote in the Democratic primary for the conservative Democrat.
Right. Although, was the 11,000, was that her? I can't remember her. Like, didn't she have like a runoff with the incumbent or something? Joe Crowley, I think was
AOC.
Yeah, like
it wasn't a runoff. She won the primary.
Oh, that's what was it. So that's what it was. 11,000 votes to the primary,
and then she wins.
That was it.
And now
I don't know why I must be misremembering something weird. I don't know.
No, it might have been. I think it might have been 17,000, and he got 14. But either way, the point is, it was like in a district of 750,000. That's all you needed to win.
Yeah.
Okay, Republicans, run as a centrist Democrat.
Just vote
and get all the Republicans to vote for you, and then once you're in, be like, oh, I'm joining the Republican Party. And then you've got New York's 14 as a Republican district in New York. What was Jeff Van Drew?
Oh yeah,
you saw that guy? He was in New Jersey.
I know the name.
He was a moderate Democrat. He won in 20.
Yeah, he's flipped, right?
Yeah, he flipped because of the impeachment. He was like, they're nuts.
Yeah.
And he won again, didn't he?
I think so. I think
he's from. I think he's South Jersey, which is the more conservative half of.
Yeah, massive Trump.
I'm thinking like we were thinking like strip the D and the R off the tickets, try that, and then just vote, and you have to know who you're voting for. But then it'd be whoever the coolest name, and you get people would change their names to like Lightning Smash, and then you were heading towards Camacho and Idiocracy.
Lightning Smash,
yeah.
So Max Power.
Maybe the age of the popularity contest should be.
I'd make my name like Election Loser, so people would vote for me as a joke.
Nobody.
Win. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nobody.
Nobody wins.
Ian, I gotta say, I think it's still better.
Slashing the D's and the R's.
We would be better off if in deep red and deep blue districts a random person won.
I really don't like that people drop for the D or the R. That always bothers me.
That's all they do. There was the story of the trans anarchist Satanist in New Hampshire. Yeah. I think it was New Hampshire, right?
I don't know.
That ran as a Republican and won. It was a primary, though.
That's awesome.
And it was because Republicans were just like, yep, Republican. Yeah. And then when the Republicans, these voters found out, they were like, what? I'm outraged. And the trans anarchist Satanist said to them, you voted for me.
Are they still a Republican, do we know?
I don't know. But I thought that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Send a message to these people who walk in and go, oh, Mitch McConnell, he's a Republican. Lindsey Graham.
No.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. The establishment Republicans are speed bumps for Democrats, and it's intentional as far as I'm concerned.
What do you guys say about having more parties? Because I've floated it in both ways, where I'm like, on one hand, like it allows people to be more honest, because like actually, like within the Republican Party, there's probably 3 or 4 different factions. But on the other hand, it could risk making the country more divided in that, instead of the blue team versus the red team, you've got 8 teams that are...
It would be a good thing.
You think?
But it's not possible in first-past-the-post voting systems.
Well, that's the thing. It would need to be like Europe, where you vote for the party, and then whatever percent they get,
Like the parliamentary system?
Yeah.
Where basically it's like if 70% of the vote is for...
Republicans, then Republicans get 70% of the seats.
Right.
I'm a little ignorant on how they fill those seats. I don't know if the party picks them or what goes on next.
I think the party decides.
I assume
sure,
that's
though.
it, but I'm not sure, yeah.
If we had 10 libertarian seats in the House, it would force the Democrats and Republicans to compromise.
Yeah, I want like a libertarian party, a nationalist party, like maybe like a Tea Party party, and the left can have their, crazy different factions, like a Green Party or something.
Maybe in a ring of choice.
Or DSA, or something like that, yeah.
Because look at it this way. There's Bernie Sanders is notorious for compromising and working with Republicans. And that's why they called Kamala Harris the most liberal member of Congress.
Yeah, so
which is not true.
It was just based on 1 year's voting, I think, that particular...
It was based on cooperation. Bernie Sanders was willing to cooperate and sponsor Republicans in exchange for their support on his bills.
Right.
And his bills were substantially more progressive, but he knew where his paths were. And Kamala Harris was just not talking to Republicans at all. That doesn't make her further left than Bernie, but that's how they weighed it.
Yeah, and I think another thing too is like Bernie. There are certain policies of his. There's literally no point in proposing because they're not going to go anywhere. So obviously, like, he has radical beliefs, but they don't show up in the record because it's just never going to pass.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.